so that we can just go through the flow of the conversation. Over to you, Ajra.
Great, thank you, Robin. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. My name is Ajwa Banfo. I am a principal based in our Lagos office, but as Robin said, spend most of my time in Accra. Have been working across our support with the FCDO for quite some time. So that includes our work on the Jobs and Economic Transformation Program, thinking through how we can attract investment into 3 priority sectors: automotive, pharmaceuticals, and textile and garments, and activating that potential, outlining a pipeline, a fairly significant investment pipeline, as well as thinking through different opportunities for trade and investment between the UK and Ghana, some of which we will discuss today. Pleasure to be with you. Please do reach out if you've got any questions. Robin, I'll pass back to you.
Thank you. Thanks, Ajwa. So today we're here to talk about the Growth Gateway program. So what is Growth Gateway? It is UK's flagship trade and investment program. And why is such a program necessary? So Gateway was originally conceived as a program that would, or as a facility that would bring together all trade and investment services that the government provides to enable an improvement in trade and investment flows between the UK and Africa. It's now a global program, but it was originally conceived as something to drive trade from Africa to the UK and from the UK to Africa, as well as investment flows in both directions. Now, why is this necessary? Because if you look at the moment, the value of trade with Africa from the UK is quite significant. However, it doesn't compare well with some of the other trading countries, be it China, the EU, or the US. So there's massive potential here to grow it further. On the investment side, the UK is the most dominant player across Africa. 54 billion of African assets are held by UK investors. Again, this is quite small compared to the scale of assets managed by UK investors globally. And here too, there is a significant opportunity to grow this further. Furthermore, when it comes to export finance and other support as well, the UK government in 2021, for example, provided 2.3 billion in terms of support to exports. Here too, there is a massive opportunity to grow it further. So what has been done? If I move on to the next slide, the UK government formally launched the Gateway program at the Africa Investment Conference in Jan 22. And Gateway is primarily focused, as I said, to drive trade and investment by connecting them to existing UK government services and programs, as well as to partners who could either be trading partners or investment partners. Most importantly, the services that Gateway offers is free. It connects the dots with other existing programs, like Ajwa mentioned, the Jobs and Economic Transformation Program in Ghana. And there are many other kind of overseas development fund assisted programs or investment and export finance facilities such as British International Investment or UK Export Finance. So Gateway as a free service is able to actually connect all these programs and basically provide a one-stop shop for businesses to access all services that the government offers. Moving on, so what are the kind of services that we are able to offer? So the Gateway team, which is run by a consortium led by the Boston Consulting Group, in partnership with firms such as Tetra Tech, Invest Africa, and PA Consulting. We run a central team, and we also have people in the field. So we are able to provide expert advice on trade and investment opportunities. So if it is an African business trying to understand, say Kenyan business trying to understand how it could improve its export of cut vegetables, we would have experts who are actually able to advise on sanitary and phytosanitary regulations, but also potentially look at business connections they can make with buyers, importers, etc. So we can provide very targeted export advice to high potential opportunities. Furthermore, we are building on that. We are able to actually help exporters who have scale and can meet quality, quantity, and price requirements in the UK market. We are able to help them find buyers, suppliers, and in some cases, investors as well. We are also able to provide advice in helping businesses understand what the UK trade offer is and what the investment offer is, so that they're able to navigate through the complexity of some of these offers. So, for example, a business trying to understand what the economic partnership agreement means in terms of exports, or what the new developing country trading scheme means in terms of rules of origin. Some of this information is actually quite difficult to maneuver through. We, as the Gateway team at Central, if somebody writes to our inbox, we are actually able to analyze their request and provide them targeted advice. So how have we done in terms of actually engaging businesses since our launch? We have, over the last year and few months, have engaged over 2,000 stakeholders through our advisory, digital services, and through our events that we do, such as this. So these stakeholders include businesses, government agencies, intermediaries, chambers of commerce, as well as buyers, importers, etc. We've supported over 500 businesses, and they range from across. If you just look at the African continent, we've had queries coming in from South Africa, Egypt, Kenya, Ghana, Nigeria, Cote d'Ivoire, Cameroon. So we've had requests coming from all across, and we are able to, where some of the requests can be addressed by signposting. We can signpost them to where that information is available or make connections. But where they need more targeted advice, if that business offer has high potential, we are able to provide more targeted advice. And as you would imagine, a lot of the opportunities, particularly on the export side and on the as well as to an extent on the investment side, is in the agribusiness space, given the huge opportunity that exists in agribusiness. Here too, the businesses that we have been engaging, are from countries such as Ghana, Nigeria, Kenya, Egypt, Ethiopia as well. We've also been able to provide targeted support to high potential opportunities, where we've provided dedicated support. We go through a triage process to establish whether this particular whether it's a company that's trying to scale up its export of cut vegetables, or a company that is now trying to make connections on tiger nut exports. We triage to establish whether that offer is advanced enough to drive trade in the short term. Likewise, if there is a company that's trying to attract investment, if they have a strong and compelling pitch, they have a strong business case, then we are able to connect them to those opportunities as well. And so far, over the last year and a half, we've supported 35 plus businesses as well. Moving on to, so in terms of, like, if I could just dive into kind of the agribusiness space, as I said, this is clearly an area with huge opportunity. And so here, we are seeing the kind of a range of agribusinesses that have been in touch with us. They range, as you can see, I won't read out what's on the page, but businesses looking to export fruits and vegetables, in the livestock space, as well as in agricultural infrastructure and logistics, such as micro storage or cold chains. We have been able to provide advice and business connections as well. We also publish knowledge products, so user guides that provide targeted insights. So, for example, we most recently we produced a guide on how to secure a phytosanitary certificate for exporting fruits fruits and vegetables to the UK as well. And we are in the process of developing a range of these kind of knowledge guides, which are available and free to access from the Gateway's campaign page, or if you're in touch with us directly. If I can just quickly focus on Ghana now. Obviously, this is a great opportunity for us to reach your members and create awareness about the services that we offer. Helpfully for us, we've already seen a fair bit of uptake from Ghanaian businesses and investors who are looking to drive trade and investment. So far, we've had 18 Ghanaian businesses and individuals reaching out, and most of the challenges that they've reached out to us, range from the challenges in accessing finance, challenges in understanding the export requirements, particularly around standards, and then how to actually kind of access information so they can comply with those requirements as well. And most of those, in a significant number of those businesses have been from the agriculture space. However, we've also seen businesses, in consumer retail sectors, as well as in healthcare as well. If I can go on to an example, of a business that we've supported. Francis, is Emmanuel on the call, or do you want me to cover it?
I think so. Emmanuel Ango, are you here?
Great. So we want to. I won't steal Emmanuel's thunder, but we want to give you a brief snapshot of one of the companies that we've been able to support, which is Negab Chufa. Emmanuel, it'd be great if you could just outline how the partnership has been so far with Gateway and what kind of support that you've reached out to us and look to receive as well. Over to you, Emmanuel.
Emmanuel, could you just confirm that you give, because I've given you permission to talk, maybe you can just address. Are you still here? Yes. I think you might have dropped off the call. No, I think maybe you can just take it up and maybe you can rejoin. Maybe you can speak or give me.
Manuel, can you hear us? I just saw him unmute briefly. So if we can't do it, I will. Yeah. Very well. Look, could be a technical challenge, so I'll allow me to outline this example, possibly not as articulate as Emmanuel might be. So we're talking about a company that's a major producer of tiger nut milk, which for those of you who travel to Europe, or if you, in particular, if you go to places like Spain, you'd see tiger nut milk being sold on the streets, and there's considerable awareness of its health benefits, and as an alternative to more kind of caffeinated drinks. So you're seeing a boom in sales in tiger nut milk, and with the growing awareness, there is considerable opportunity in the UK as well as in the European markets. And obviously, Negab Chufa has done quite well over the last 15 years or so to export to the US and Canadian markets. However, they're quite keen to kind of grow their market and build a presence in the UK and EU, given the higher demand, as well growing demand, as well as kind of higher opportunities for margin and better returns, to the extent of where they're actually looking even at kind of relocating the headquarters here. And the specific ask was to actually, one, understand the UK registration requirements, as well as in helping to identify UK buyers and investors. The work that Gateway provided included kind of doing the research to help them identify potential buyers in the UK European markets. And we've also been able to support in providing some direct introductions to buyers in the UK. And then we've provided ongoing support in kind of evolving their strategy and pitch deck, and in signposting to kind of the IT guides, so they can understand what are the requirements for a business to set up operations in the UK. So in terms of what I think there's huge potential here, but what we've been able to support Emmanuel and his team has been in kind of advancing negotiations with one buyer, helping them understand the requirements, the costs and benefits of actually setting up operations in the UK, and then evolving that pitch deck so that they are able to scale up by attracting more investment. Emmanuel, one more chance. If you are able to speak, do unmute, and it'd be good to hear from you as well. No?
Good morning.
Morning, Emmanuel. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I'm a yam exporter. I'm into yam and dairy production and export. So actually, I'm looking for markets. I want to know the opportunity for me in the UK markets.
It's a bit noisy, Emmanuel. Can you speak a bit louder and to the microphone, please?
Yeah, what I'm saying is I'm into yam export. So I'm looking for the opportunity in the UK market where I can export my yam, and what are the requirements?
I think we may have some cross purpose in which this might not be Emmanuel for Negro. But Emmanuel, to your point, we will answer your questions. I think we were looking for Asan Emmanuel, who was supposed to speak on this call, but we will address his questions after. But thanks.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Gateway also does a range of interventions. And so these are where, when we talk about interventions, they are targeted projects. As you can see from the list, these are targeted projects where we see a specific opportunity to unlock trade or investment opportunities. And so the support that we've done over the last year or so have ranged from looking at how to help increase horticulture exports from Kenya to the UK, as well as the supply of goods and equipment for the horticulture sector in Kenya from the UK. We've looked at what it would take to attract UK investors into the fintech sector in Morocco. We've looked at horticulture opportunities in North and West Africa, including in Ghana in the horticulture space. And then obviously beyond Africa, we've done a range of projects in sectors in the ASEAN region. I'm now going to pass on to Ajwa, who led our work in identifying high potential business opportunities, high potential opportunities in the green sector. And Ajwa, over to you to just articulate our approach and what we've been able to do over the last few months. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robin. And hello, everyone, once again. So I'll be talking to you about two interventions we've done, which have identified opportunities within Ghana. The first of the two is on green business. And our definition of green is split into three things. It either helps to mitigate greenhouse gases, or it helps to improve the capacity to respond to already in underway climate shocks, so adaptation and resilience. The third definition is it helps to reduce waste, which is connected to both of these, either by, for example, reducing greenhouse gases or strengthening adaptation capacity, addressing things like food security and so on and so forth. And the exam question that we started off with was, when you take a look at the direction in which the world economy is going, green and climate are suddenly becoming very important. And what are the specific areas of interest within the African continent, across the African continent, where there is a strong case for UK-Africa bi-directional trade and investment? And so the first step that we took was to break down this definition of green into specific sectors and to prioritize them. We ended up, out of over 30, prioritizing around 11 of them, which are what you see as the columns on this slide from left to right, as areas where there was a strong case for UK to Africa trade and investment. The next step was to take a deeper look within a number of countries. We looked across 11, but of the 11, about 5 of them were priority, amongst them Ghana, to understand where did specific opportunities exist for UK-Africa trade and investment, what was the nature of the opportunity, how material and commercially ready are the opportunities, and who were potential players on either side. So within the African country, in our case, Ghana, and in the UK, who were potential commercial partners that we identified could engage on these opportunities. So what you're looking at here is a snapshot of over 80 different opportunities that we found for as at varying levels of maturity and readiness, compelling for UK Africa trade and investment within the green space. And I'd like to focus on the second to last row where Ghana is, to talk you through some of the examples that we found. So I think the final thing final guidance I'll give you on how to read this heat map is on what the colors mean. So essentially the deepest green colors mean these are the most material and most commercially ready opportunities. And the lightest yellow mean these are the least material and commercially ready. I think it's important to understand the biconditional, material and commercially ready, because some of these things may be material but less commercially ready. And it just speaks to the level of efforts that you would have to put in to really realize some return on investment on them. So in Ghana, I think the most compelling opportunity that we found was in relation to carbon assets and finance. So thinking about carbon offsets, credits, etc. And I think this is an area where Ghana is already a pioneer under Article 6, trading with Switzerland on carbon offsets, as well as trying to pioneer around voluntary carbon markets. And here we thought the opportunity, which again is triangulated around across many different experts on the ground, as well as experts in sectoral experts, we found that the opportunity here was around investing in projects that relate to reforestation. So they sequester carbon from the atmosphere, as well as industrial manufacturing, mainly around carbon avoidance. I think other interesting opportunities came with e-waste. The business case for very specific categories within e-waste is actually quite compelling in Ghana, but many of you who will be familiar with the nature of some of our e-waste landfills know that it's not the easiest to navigate. So there's a bit of hard work that you need to do to make that return materialize. A couple of other interesting things that we identified. While if you look to the right of the graph, distributed energy, a lot of the things around renewables seem to be around on the lower end of the materiality and readiness scale for a couple of reasons. I think one, Ghana doesn't have as dire an electricity access problem as some other markets on the continent. But I think if you take a look at the overall shift towards clean energy, green energy, that's picture, I think, is going to start greening up very quickly, pun intended. So I think the takeaway from this slide is there are opportunities within the green business space where it makes sense to pursue trade and investment with UK players. And if we go to the next slide, we've tried to make this information accessible by uploading all of this into a dynamic online tool that is available to you publicly, where you can go through the information and really learn about the details of the specific opportunity. So like I was talking about on e-waste, we've got quite a detailed fact base that tells you what categories of e-waste are compelling, thinking about what's the case in Ghana, why does that P&L make sense for someone who's operating in Ghana, and thinking about who are some of the companies in Ghana that you could immediately start thinking about partnering with, and likewise, who could be partners in the UK that you could reach out to. And of course, Gateway is very happy to help you to navigate that space. Very quickly, I will talk about one more intervention that we've done around relating to horticulture, where we think that there is yet another opportunity to really explore and leverage the breadth and muscle of Gateway to help you to really accelerate your ability to explore these opportunities. So in relation to financing. So let me give you a bit of context. Within the African continent, I think it doesn't surprise any of you on here that agriculture is a very big part of our GDP. And within agriculture specifically, we have, as Gateway, previously looked at horticulture exports within Kenya, and having seen the business case and specific categories which made sense for UK-Kenya trade, we decided to broaden that horizon and look across North and West Africa, with Ghana being one of the priority markets. there were two broad opportunities that came up, and the bigger of the two is in financing. And we mean something extremely specific in financing. What we mean is financial players in the UK investing into financial players in Ghana, who can then on-lend into or on-invest into opportunities relating to the horticulture sector. And that spans quite a broad range of business, products and services, more than 30 different types. We think that opportunity is worth £3 billion today and is going to rapidly grow. It's an area where we already see quite a lot of activity between the Americans, the Germans, the Japanese, Singaporeans, and so on and so forth. And so it's an area where we are, as Gateway, committed to helping Ghanaian financial institutions connect with their UK counterparts. And so if this is an area that you are interested in, very, very happy to discuss further with you around what are some of the challenges that we see on either side and how we can help you to bridge them. I'll stop here. If you gave me 10 minutes, I'll probably take 50, but very, very happy to answer any more questions you may have. Robin, back to you.
Thank you, Ajwa. That is really useful. If you have any further questions, particularly around the investment mapping in the green spaces and other opportunities, we have Ajwa on the call as well, so do feel free to raise any questions. So to conclude, so that we have sufficient time for a discussion, if you want to find out more about us, do go to growthgateway.campaign.gov.uk. It's on the .gov, the Government of UK website. And then if you want to reach out to us or with any specific queries, the email address is growthgateway@fcdo.gov.uk. We also have a LinkedIn page where we update on our events and kind of insights from the work that we're doing. We look forward to hearing from you. But before that, over to you all for any questions or discussions. Thank you very much for your time.
Well, thanks, Tim, for that. So I think if you do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A. I guess we can start with the first one. So maybe from an anonymous attendee. So I want to know if there's financial support for greenhouse farming, how to grow tomatoes for the UK market, and would appreciate support and partnership if possible. Robin, do you want to take that? Sorry, you're on mute.
Yeah. Let me take that. Obviously, I mean, like we said, there is a huge opportunity in exporting horticultural products to the UK and growing it in the right conditions to meet quality standards, not just in terms of the varieties, but also in terms of kind of meeting standards around use of pesticides and water levels, etc., would be very crucial. I think the key message here for me is, if you're an existing business and you have, you're already in operation and you're looking to scale up, if you have a business case around it, do share it with us. And then, if you're of the scale where you can attract investment, we can signpost you to potential UK investors who might be able to provide it. Gateway does not directly provide finances. We only signpost you or connect you to businesses. And the other point to understand here is obviously UK is, we want to make it as easy as possible so that you can understand the requirements. But the questions to ask yourself would be, do you have the scale to meet quantity, quality, and price requirements currently? Or if that is the ambition to get there, if you have a strong business case or a pitch deck with which you can engage investors. We're happy to provide you advice on how you can get there if that's what you're looking for. Yeah.
Maybe just to add to that, I think one of the things we've come to understand about the landscape is there's quite a lot of different nuances and cuts in the way that the financing and financed markets work. And so there are a couple of different dimensions to consider after you have cleared the table stakes around have you met the right quality standards in terms of pesticides, water, so on and so forth. And I think a very big part of that is your scale. A very big part of that is the type of buyers that you are servicing and what that opens up to you in terms of trade finance, export finance. broadly, I would say that there's two models you can consider. One is going directly to UK financiers. I think depending on your scale, that scale really intermediates your level of success here. And then the other one is going indirectly for UK finance via African financial institutions that have received money from UK financiers and have a mandate to on-lend to people such as yourself. So I would just echo what Robin said, to please get in touch, share details of your business, and based on the insights that we have, I think we can provide some advice on how to navigate.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks for that. Right. So just highlighting to everyone. So if you do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A so that everyone has access to that, and there's no issues, or maybe there's sound or static in the background, so it's quite easy for us to understand the question. But just moving back to the questions. So Suleiman has a question here. We're into production of charcoal for export. Please help us get buyers in the UK. So I think maybe the short answer there would be to actually reach out to us through the email. I've provided that in the chat. Robin, I don't know if you have anything to add on top of that.
No,
On
I
top
would
of
just
what
say,
you already said.
Yeah, I think just the best, Suleiman, just the best thing to do would be to write to us, and then we can look at whether there are specific opportunities in that space. Clearly, I think there is, sustainability is a key consideration. So I think even in the charcoal space, demonstrating that it's ethically sourced coal, etc. Will actually help you kind of get market access. To your question on the email address, it's on the screen. It's also in the chat. But Francis, I don't know whether you would be sharing the deck, or you'd be sending a follow-up email as well. So then that's the best way to share email addresses with the attendees. Yeah,
right. So we will be sending our follow-up email with the pack, which for your reference, as well as email addresses, contacts for you. But yeah, I've also added that within the chat. You can just check the chat and you'll find the contacts there. Suleiman.
Sure.
Great.
There's a question from Agnes. Agnes, I don't know if you want to actually be a bit more specific about what you mean by mainstream markets, but it would be helpful, and what specific products that you're looking at as well.
Great. And so while that is being clarified, maybe we can move on to Fathia. So at the beginning of the presentation, you mentioned the focus of Growth Gateway in pharmaceuticals, agriculture, and garment and textile. In your presentations, you have mentioned strides being made in agriculture and green businesses, but nothing on garments and textile. In the garment business, I would like to know what opportunities you provide in that sector. Thank you.
Sure, Fathia. So the reference that Ajwa and I made to the support we provide in garments and textiles is relating to a separate program, which is Ghana specific. It's called Jobs and Economic Transformation. It's also an FCDO run program. So through Gateway, if you write to us, we can actually connect you to people on that program working on garments and textiles. Likewise, if you have any specific questions around garments and textiles, and accessing the export market into the UK, do feel free to write to us. As Ajwa and I can confirm, there's a great opportunity for Ghana, given the shift in production. With many companies, global brands moving away from Chinese cotton, they are looking for alternative destinations. Obviously, recent issues in Ethiopia have meant that many companies that were present in Ethiopia are also looking for other destinations to make sure that their supply chains are resilient. So Ghana has a high potential here, high opportunity here. Obviously, the government as well as businesses will have to take up that opportunity. So if you have any specific questions here, please do feel free to write to us. Yeah.
Great.
Marion, yeah, again, we have so far not had much engagement on cosmetics. Obviously, we've had the people in touch with regard to kind of body care products. If you have a specific question, like I said, do write to us, and if we can support you, make connections, we do that as well. Ramatu, in terms of yes, the UK has specific sanitary and phytosanitary and FDA regulations, so you would require that. If there are any specific questions around that, which we can answer, or connect you to colleagues at DEFRA, then we can do that as well. I haven't understood your question on guaranteed on payment guarantees. Well, yeah. Alfred, on your question regarding handicrafts and artwork, yes, obviously there's an opportunity, but here too, I think the big challenge would be one, meeting regulatory standards, in particular on sanitary and phytosanitary requirements, especially where you're using wood and other organic products. And then the other would be to be able to compete on price and scale as well. Just reading the Alex, if you can write to us with a bit more detail on what you're specifically looking for in terms of clearing, etc., it would be, then we can understand the challenge, and if we are able to assist or point you in the right direction, we'd be delighted to do so. Ajwa, any other observations more generally based on the engagement that you've had with regard to businesses in Ghana?
I think maybe a couple of reflections. One of the things that we identified when we were looking on the horticulture intervention, but also more broadly within green and within the other project that we alluded to, is an information asymmetry, particularly in the way that Ghanaian businesses are able to present themselves as competitive. So being able to really identify some of the trends that are underway and being able to position yourselves as a credible partner to take a credible business partner to solve problems for others that exist, for others who are overseas, I think is really important to be able to jump onto the train of some of the trends that are ongoing. So Robin mentioned a trend of regionalization of supply chains that certainly makes places such as Ghana quite compelling, but there isn't, it's not just Ghana that's competing for these opportunities. You also have all of West Africa, all of North Africa, basically everybody is competing, as well as the incumbents who are trying desperately to improve their value proposition so that they can become more competitive. So I think it's really important to be able to situate yourself within the context of those opportunities or trends and speak to the very, very cold hard facts. I think the other thing is around that we've also learned is around being able to identify potential partners quickly. It's less about figuring out that it's Alpha Company 1 and more about figuring out the type of company that you're looking for, and then being able to leverage a very systematic approach to find those types of partners. And that's an area, of course, that Gateway is happy to help with. But I think being able to articulate your value proposition and then being able to be systematic about who you need to work with is going to be very helpful to move quickly.
Very good.
Maybe just to so Sulemana, you had a question about where we locate our office in Accra. We don't have an office yet, but I think if you do write to us, we can support you with whatever specific questions that you may have. And hopefully what I've just said kind of addresses your question, Agnes.
Thank you. Ajwa, I suppose with GIPC or one of the other government agencies, we could consider doing an in-person event at some point as well, Ajwa, when you're next in town as well. Yeah.
Yes, very happy to. I think very happy to give an example of how different types of, what's the type of pitch, the type of information that you need to give to foreign partners to draw their attention to you, and think also around how you find that information, how you leverage a lot of the support that's available through the Ghanaian government and through the UK government to be able to pull this together. Very happy to do so.
I just add that, but on the agribusiness side, I mean, Kenya has historically been a success story. There are Kenyan businesses that are in the kind of $700 to $800 million range that are exporting mixed vegetables, cut vegetables, frozen vegetables, but also in the flour side. It's been a long-term game as well, making sure they can meet quality, making sure they can meet the price and scale. But there is they too face competition, for example, from countries that are closer, like Morocco as well. So it's a constantly, or Spain for that matter. So it's a constantly evolving game. And so kind of understanding the export market, their requirements, and constantly being able to actually kind of meet those requirements is a key part of that. So scale is important. So I think this is where obviously investment could be quite useful. If you haven't exported yet, then I would say that the immediate focus should be to scale up. And then obviously access more kind of nearby markets, but then obviously markets such as the UK in particular provide tremendous opportunities once you have the scale. Any further questions, Francis? Otherwise, we can give people time back as well.
No, I don't think I see anything else, but I do think there's Alexandra on the line. Alexandra, do you want to come in? Say a few words now that, the most of the presentations now.
Hello.
Yep, we can hear you.
Right. Oh, okay. This is Alexander Dajawa, standing in for my CEO, Dr. Efwa Sabi-Asare of Ghana Export Promotion Authority, who couldn't join because of a program which clashes this morning. Yes, I've sat in, I've followed through the presentations, and to say that of course, UK is one of our leading traditional markets for the non-traditional exports from Ghana, and we'll continue to work closely with all other agencies, organizations to promote further our interests in our exports to the UK market. I just want to give a short statistics of how Ghana is doing currently in the UK market. In 2022, last year, we exported a total of $124 million worth of exports to the UK. As George has already alluded to, our major products to the UK are mainly agricultural and agri-processed products. In 2021, we exported almost $134 million. That was a small shortfall of a decline of 9% over the period, due mainly to some decline in our exports of cocoa products. Cocoa products is the leading exports product to the UK, and there was a slight decline. We are looking forward to enhancing further our trade, particularly along the lines of the products we already exporting to the UK. And I can also say that there's a very fruitful cooperation between the UK Ghana Chamber of Commerce and ourselves. And we hope to do more to promote trade relations and further boost our trade relations between the UK and Ghana, particularly within the context of the UK TP. So thank you very much. It's been exciting. We've got new insights into what the Growth Gateway project is doing, and we'll keep in touch. So thank you very much.
Great, thanks so much, Alexander.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you
the
so much.
opportunity.
Please do reach out to our email address. It's on page and in the chat. We will send out a follow-up after this, but thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Very well, thanks too.
Thank you.